Your time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Chuck Cooperstein, voice of the Mavericks. It's pretty interesting, pretty darn interesting, what they have in front of them. And Luka's got the max. He'll do that. That's not going to stop him from doing that. But you do wonder, like we mentioned, the Kemba Walker story. I'm not sure if that would have been a fit because Luka wants the ball in his hands. Kemba Walker's a point guard, right?
Yeah, but they wanted Kemba Walker really bad, and they couldn't sign him. So, no, I would imagine they'd be, again, like, they got to hire the GM and the coach first, like you're going to start signing players when there's not even a coach or a general manager in place. You can't do that. So, free agency is an afterthought right now. It's not even top three as far as their major concerns go. And, they can knock that list out pretty quick, and I'm sure they will in the next couple of weeks. But, forget all the other regular minutia you'd be talking about right now. They got to get their front office fixed.
So I got a question. In the NFL, there's no doubt the Cowboys are a destination location. And in some cases, they haven't been able to do anything about that other than the draft, or you hear everyone, I grew up being a Cowboys fan. But free agent-wise, they've kind of had to tap the brakes because Jerry, Dion was the ultimate free agent signing. But when the Mavericks and the Rangers, the Mavericks, no matter how good they were with Dirk, for a long time, and even now with Luka, they don't appear to be a destination city.
No, and the Cowboys, when they have jumped in, nobody tells them no. I mean, you can't tell me somebody who's told them no. Coaches, players, nobody's told them no. I mean, I say nobody. There's very few that. Well,
there are probably more than that. But as far as if they want somebody and they can afford him, or even sometimes when they can't, or even if it's the right decision, if they want somebody, they get him.
On a smaller scale, and he's a very important player for them now, and is Lyle Collins. He fell through the cracks in the draft because he was one of the weirdest coincidences you could possibly imagine. But they, when he was available, the day after the draft, they flew him to Dallas, and then they weren't letting him leave. I mean, he wasn't going to that visit to the Dolphins. It's not that way with the Mavericks, and it's not that way with the Rangers. Craig mentioned the other day we were talking about the Mavericks and free agency, Chandler Parsons, how like it was just all hands on deck for Chandler Parsons, and then that was just a big dud.
Well, that was a dud because, more so because it was supposed to be a package. It was supposed to be him. It was supposed to be
DeAndre Jordan.
Jordan, and there was another guy that was a part of that as well. It was a threesome, and it might have been. Was it Matthews? And they actually signed him, I think. Yeah, I think it was supposed to be Matthews and Parsons and DeAndre Jordan, and then they ended up with, I don't know, maybe I'm getting that wrong, but it was like three guys.
DeAndre Jordan was Shirley.
Yeah, it was Shirley, Parsons, and Jordan. I'm just forgetting who the third wheel on that was, but that was the whole to-do, and everybody was all excited over it. And just at the end of the day, it turns out Chandler Parsons is just a D-bag, an overpaid D-bag, and that was a really rough period of Mavericks basketball to watch when you had to hold on to hopes with Chandler Parsons. I don't get it. I don't know why that's what they end up with rather than, a Kemba Walker from the outset. But, hopefully they can lock down some of these guys with the pull of their young superstar. I say this, and I know people have said this about people in the past, but seriously, how could you watch him unless you play the same position and not want to play with him? I mean, with what he does, why would you not want to be out on the court with that dude every night, and how could you possibly think that he won't help make you better and have a lot of fun in doing it? I mean, if there was ever, Dirk was great, but Dirk was also just so chill, so laid back. Luka's so young, and he's got a big personality. He's got all the marketing stuff heading his way. He's a star. He's an absolute star, and people are picking up on it far quicker than they ever did with Dirk Nowitzki. It took Dirk years to get like the full level of respect. I think he always had it from his peers, but I don't know that fans realize how great Dirk really was. Fans already know how great Luka is. And he's not even 23. So get it right and get some pieces around him, and don't waste these prime years of his career with front office messes or, striking out in free agency. They can't afford to do that, man. They've got to you cannot guarantee you're going to ever draft another Luka Doncic. They got so fortunate when that happened. And they could have had Trae Young instead, so they would have probably made out pretty okay, but they've got potential. They just got to figure out this front office stuff.
Yeah, the last thing you want to see is Luka Doncic be Ken Griffey Jr. or Dan Marino. Somebody who's really, really great, but even in the greatest year, the Mariners had that one great year where they had A-Rod and Buhner and Randy Johnson and the rest of the pitching staff, and they had all these wins, but the Yankees existed. and they lost. I think it was 96 or 97. And so they had all that going, maybe 98. But you don't want them to be Dan Marino, who Luka never, Dan Marino at least saw Super Bowl and then never saw one again. You want Luka to be playing in finals, get that shot.
Well, how much of this is on him also to become a salesperson?
I mean, I'm sure a little bit, but
not just because you think being as good as he is and young and obviously somebody that loves to distribute the ball and dynamic and popular and all that would be enough. But, you got that, and then you have guys around the league who have just flat out just gone after other people. Dwayne Wade recruited LeBron, all of that. I mean, he's not that type of personality.
Well, the other thing, it might help Luka down the line when LeBron and some of these guys are done and not, swooping in because
in the way.
Well, I mean, because again, if Luka asks you to come and LeBron asks you to come, what are you going to do for most guys? You're going to go to the Lakers. And then that might even be star players. That might just be guys who are role players.
The Mavericks are not and have rarely been, despite how good they were for a long, long time, a destination location.
Well, and the thing that's weird, the thing you have to think about it is, in the NBA, it's really never about the money.
It's about where you are.
Because the money's the same almost everywhere you go.
New York.
Because of the rules they have.
Miami and the West Coast, correct?
I said this yesterday. We talked about this, and I said I don't understand why Dallas is not a destination spot, but then again I do, because it's an entirely ununique city. I mean, there's what do you think of when you think of Dallas? When I think of New York, I think of skyscrapers, I think of Italian food, I think of Broadway, I think of Chicago, I think of the river, I think of the Sears Tower. When I think of Dallas, there's the Reunion Ball and there's.
Well,
it doesn't help when you see these damn videos to start off an NFL
I was just going to say that.
Cattle in a land.
Yeah, I mean, and there's the totally, and I really wish TV networks would stop being so lazy. Every time they have a broadcast in Texas, we're not all cowboys. We don't all ride horses or wear cowboy hats.
Or own cattle.
Or own guns. Or, I'm saying, all these we don't have 6 shooters on our waist, all of us walking around. But, there's always, they always show the Fort Worth stockyards, even if it's in Arlington or Dallas, as though that's just how it is around here. So I don't know, maybe it's a misconception on the part of free agents that they think it's just so Texas or whatever. But I think it's also what is Dallas's pull? What's attractive about it that makes people want to go and plop down and commit to being here for the next 5 years?
Houston has been better in free agency than Dallas.
But Houston's also close to New Orleans. Yeah. Houston's also got a whole different culture down there, as far as their hip hop culture is much larger down there and more in line with probably your average NBA player. So I can see where it's appealing to it. I mean, James Harden had no problem going there. We've seen star after star after star end up in Houston over the last few years. Whether they stayed
Chris
long.
Paul was there, right?
Russell Westbrook was there. We've seen several guys. Now they didn't all make their choices to, and stay there for forever, but they sure as hell don't end up in Dallas. They don't randomly just get Russell Westbrook on the roster for the rest of the season. End up instead with Chandler Parsons or some other guy who's just a max player because he's been in the league long enough at this point, and they're just hoping to squeeze 2 good years out of him, because that's what it feels like. But I don't know how much of a salesman Luka is. He's also not an American. I think that probably hurts him a little bit as well. It's just he's not on the same page necessarily with these guys, although I think being young and as cool as he is, he seems to have a lot of friends around the league. So is that enough to pull them in? I don't know.
But one of the things that helped with Dirk in Dallas, and of course it was a different era of NBA free agency where there wasn't the crazy movement like it was, but he just didn't care where he the days of guys like Dirk and Tim Duncan was perfect in San Antonio because Tim Duncan doesn't give a crap. He doesn't need to be in a big city. He doesn't need to be around movie stars. He didn't need any of that. And then the Spurs flourished in that their star was a guy who did that, and they found other guys. But now the league is so different that it's going to be hard. One day Giannis, if he doesn't win an NBA title, is going to is going to leave Milwaukee, and then no one's going to be in Milwaukee because Milwaukee's kind of like Dallas in that regard. And they got the bronze Fonz, but what else do they have?
Yep, I agree. So when we come back, we mentioned